Very good afternoon. Welcome back to the main course called Mechanics and Control of Robotic Manipulator. Last class we have just gave the introduction to the course. Very specific means that we have just start introducing what are the contents we are going to cover, how we are going to cover. In this particular lecture, we would be seeing more, you can say, aspect in the sense we would be moving into the subject. We'll start, you can say, what is robot kinematics and how it would be analyzed in this particular lecture. So before going to see that, we'll just recap on what is manipulator and what are the types of manipulator and why we are focusing on serial manipulator, and what is degrees of freedom and how that robot mechanics would be used further for our own understanding. Okay, so in that sense, let us start with a very basic, you can say, disclaimer, because this particular lecture would be consist of several, you can say, web pages and other aspects. So I don't want to cite each and everything at the same, you can say, slide. So that's why I'm just giving this particular disclaimer. Okay, so let us move the, you can say, main theme. So the theme here is actually like I would be covering two things here. So one is recap on manipulator, what we have seen in the basic introduction lecture, and we'll be moving close to the robot mechanics, indirectly mechanics we would be covering. So where we would be starting what is actually like description and configuration, and then we'll start understanding what is robot kinematics. So let us start what we have seen in the last class. So last class we have seen that the effector is the keyword which we have actually like considered. So based on the effector, we can actually like see there are two kind of actions will happen. So one action is locomotion, where the effector, you can say, having an effect on the environment causes motion itself. That is what we call locomotion. The locomoting device in robotics we call mobile robot, whereas we are focusing in this particular course more on manipulation. So which is nothing but the effect on the environment causes motion of the object around. So this is what we are actually like focusing. So in the sense, whatever we are going to call this manipulating device, we call manipulator. Since we are talking about robotic effector, so this is nothing but a robotic manipulator. This is what we have seen. Okay, so further I just want to give like this is one of the manipulator. This is what we are going to focus. Mainly it's a serial manipulator. But here that is not the focus. If you see the conventional manipulator, probably you can say 80s, 90s, even late you can say 90s to 2000, the manipulator will be look like this. What that means? You can see this is the main body, but this main body is actually like added a parallelogram with a counterweight. You can see everything. So in the sense, the static balance done with, you can say, counter mass along with the parallelogram mechanism. Whereas this is one particular manipulator where everything is done in that way. Whereas the other kind of manipulator, you can see that all the actuator is actually located here, and this everything is controlled through a cable. So which means actually like string operator. So this is we call a Barrett arm, because this is mainly operated with the spring, or you can say not really spring, it is a string based. So but the modern manipulator is more or less different. You can see that there is a transformation happened from the conventional to the modern one. So the modern one, the actuator is actually like more like a disc type. So now you can see that how much transient, or you can say how much change happened. So inbuilt here actually like the static balancing is there. So now this particular manipulator we call cobots. So in the sense, it is actually like friendly to the human being, and as well as the actuator is actually like much compact, and the static balancing is inbuilt. So this is the main idea which I wanted to you can say emphasize in this particular slide. You can see this is the you can say conventional manipulator to the modern cobots. So this is one side. So let us go to the further side. You can see that the manipulator can be classified based on the chain arrangement. You can classify either serial, which is actually like you can see. So this is the you can say fixed support. You have actually like the body which is serially connected. Okay, so in the sense it is open chain. So this is what we call serial manipulator. Whereas the other case, you have actually like body which is having a, you call you can say closed loop chain. So in the sense parallel. So where two or more legs are actually like starting from the base, and it is actually like making a, you can say, combined action. So this is what we call parallel manipulator. So you can see here the same 2 degrees of freedom can be achieved with simple 2R serial manipulator, or it can be get it 5, or you can say R5 parallel manipulator, which is we call 5-bar mechanism. you can see that these two joints are actually like connected with the base, and you can see these two links are actually like connected with the base link, and then it is actually like making. So now this particular point P can actually like move in XY plane, and this P point also can move in XY plane. So both are actually like, you can say, equivalent, but this is actually like a serial and this is having a close, which is we call a parallel mechanism. Some cases even we would be having a hybrid manipulator. For example, this is a serial chain and you can see there is a parallel chain is combined. So these all actually like upcoming, and these can be used further. So that's why we would be start addressing what is serial, and you know, like when you cut this you can address so what is parallel in terms of two serial manipulator in this case, and then here also you can address. This is why we are actually like focusing more on serial manipulator as such. So in the sense open chain manipulator. The parallel chain manipulator, even there are separate study. So we would be seeing probably an introduction in the later part, but right now we are focusing more on the, you can say, serial or you can say open chain manipulator. So just to give much more attention, you can see that both are commercial manipulator, which are actually like heavy loaded. You can see this is actually like having several, you can say, legs connected from the base. So this is nothing but parallel manipulator, and this is serial manipulator. You can see the end effector is actually like almost the same, but the configuration, you can see it's actually like serially connected, but this is actually like a parallelly connected, right? So this is the main difference. You can see this point can be actually like spatially located all, you can say, possible position within the workspace. So this also can be done that way. But last class we have seen one, you can say, I call funny example. I gave that to one of the tennis player where you would be playing a backhand and forehand. The same thing, you can see this is equivalent to a forehand, this is equivalent to a backhand. So the backhand would give definitely a stiffer, okay, which means that you can carry more payload and very rigid, and it can provide a fastness. That's why we can see the backhand is very fast, because you are having a rigid support, so you can make it and more precise. Whereas the large workspace required, you have to go through the serial chain, that would be associated with, you call, you can say, error accumulation. So that's why we said the precise would be parallel, not serial. But construction wise this is very simple, and control wise also it is very simple, and kinematic aspect also like serial chain is simple. Okay, so this is what we are actually like addressing here. We will move little forward. So what we have seen in the last class, we were talking about degree of freedom. So that nothing but number of, I think it is a typo. So number of minimum variable. Okay, so this number of is redundant. So number of minimum variable to describe the system in a unique sense. Okay, that you can actually like add. So unique way to describe the system, that is what we call degree of freedom. So in that sense, in mechanics, what we call, so the degree of freedom of a mechanical system is the number of independent parameters that define its configuration. We are actually like following the mechanics aspect. So in that sense, you can see that robotics, what it says, so it is again the independent parameter, but here it is a motion system. So in that sense, number of independent movements that an object can perform in a given workspace. Usually it's a 3D workspace. So that is what we call number of degrees of freedom. But most predominantly we supposed to call this as, you can say, degree of manipulability, because we are talking about number of controllable input that is going to define your, you can say, the uniqueness of the, you can say, system description. So in that sense, the degree of manipulability is one of the key terms supposed to be. So this is number of controllable input, or if it is a serial manipulator or parallel manipulator, whatever they call, so whatever the number of active joint. So for example, you take the parallel manipulator we have seen here. So in this sense, you can see this is a simple 5-bar mechanism. There are 5 R, but if you take this degree of freedom with a Grubler condition, or you can take a generalized condition, it would come 2. Okay, the degree of mobility or degree of manipulability would be 2. So in the sense, degrees of freedom. So in the sense, you can see that there are 5 joints, but you would be making only 2 active joints. So that's what we are calling degree of manipulability. So if it is actually like simple 2R manipulator, then you can see that these 2 are going to be active, in the sense you would be having a motor here. So in this case, there are 2 motors would be attached here, but here there are 2 motors would be attaching here. But what predominantly the robotic community is used to call the degree of manipulability is nothing but degrees of freedom further end. So why that is actually like possible? We are talking in terms of mechanics. The mechanics says the number of independent parameters that define its configuration. If that is true, the number of independent variable will come from the number of active joints. So that's why we are actually like taking as a synonym, where degree of mobility is equivalent to, manipulability is equivalent to degree of freedom. Okay. So now we'll actually like move further. These are actually like recap. So now we'll come back to the current study. So we are going to talk about robot mechanics. So for that I am just coming back with a manipulator. The definition of manipulator is slightly different here. So what we have seen earlier, the manipulator is based on the effect of the environment, you can say, on object around, or you can say effect of the environment causes motion of, or you can say manipulation of the object around. But here the manipulator, what I am going to define based on the rigid body. So in the sense, it need not to be rigid body, but I am going to call hereafter rigid body. That's why I just probably throw that term. So the manipulator is system of set, or you can say system of, or you can say set of bodies. Okay. So system of bodies arranged or connected as a chain with the help of, you can say, joints. Some people call constraints. So in the sense, for example, this is what I call manipulator. So you can see this is body 2, this is body 1 is ground, body 2, body 3. So now you can see that these are arranged with the constraint which we call joints. So this is what nothing but manipulator. In that sense, we need to actually like describe a little more detail. So for that, what we are trying to bring, the description. So since we are talking about degrees of freedom, means nothing but to describe the system in a unique sense. First of all, we should know what is description. So description means nothing but you are specifying attributes of various objects with which the system can deal or can, you can say, understand easily. So in the sense, we are trying to say very specific attributes of various objects with which a manipulator system deals. That is what we are calling description. So in the sense, we are actually like going to describe more about motion. So the motion description should come. The motion description start coming from, you can say, displacement and then velocity, all those aspects. So the displacement would be a positional displacement, or you can say translational displacement and rotational displacement. So we will simply call as additional aspect, we call rotation or orientation and position, or you can say displacement. All we would be seeing little later. But what we are actually like coming into here, so the system would be having some kind of arrangement. So that arrangement you are trying to give very detailed in the sense how it is arranged. So that is what you call description. That kind of arrangement what you are seeing it, that is what we are going to call as a configuration. The configuration is nothing but a complete or you can say specification of the location of every point on the manipulator. So in the sense, you can see that I am actually like putting my arm like this. So I can actually see this is what my arrangement of each body part of this arm and how it is arranged. If I take a picture and show that this is one of the configuration. So now in that sense, what happened, there are set of configuration associated together that will throw a, you can say, set of variable. As a mathematician, we call set of variable, we simply call space. So now the set of all the configuration, what we call configuration space, will come back later. Okay. So now what we are actually like seeing that there is another keyword we want to address here. Although this we would be discussing little more detail in the next lecture, but we will see what is workspace. So workspace is nothing but the total volume swept out by the end effector. What is end effector? So whatever is actually like connected at the end of the, you can say, manipulator arm or manipulator, that is what we call end effector. That end effector can be further come back as a tool or gripper or some other thing. But how this end effector is actually like sweeping, or you can say sweeping the volume. If it is in a planar case, how it is actually sweeping its own planar entity, indirectly area, that is what you call work area. Or if it is a 3D, we call workspace or work envelope. So this is what we are actually like seeing. In that sense, the workspace will come into two ways. So entire set of points reachable, what we call reachable workspace. But within that, there is a unique way we can actually like subdivide into this overall workspace. What that means, the end effector can orient at any arbitrary given orientation. So in that sense, that is what we call dexterous workspace. So those points that the manipulator can reach with any arbitrary orientation of the end effector. So this is what we want to see. So here we already told planar and spatial. So probably I will just give little more, you can say, classification on manipulator. The manipulator can be classified based on how it is actually like associated with its workspace. So based on the workspace, if it is a planar workspace, or you can say if the workspace is just an area, then we call it a planar manipulator. If the workspace or work envelope is a volume base, then we call spatial manipulator. Okay, so these are the further classification. So now we are actually like known, or we are actually like got probably a basic definition and you can say idea behind the, you can say, manipulator. Now we'll move further to the mechanics. What that mean? So we are actually like seeing why the mechanics is required. So for that I am actually like putting one of the workflow diagram. So that too like a robotic engineer. So it need not to be robotic engineer, anybody who is going to get this. So what we are going to get as a task. So the task to be completed would be given to us. Any robotic engineer, that would be given. For example, I said that assembly operation. So we want to make a robotic assembly. Okay, I'll just put it that. So we are actually like thinking about making a robotic assembly. Then what the robotic engineer will think? So you will see the real system. So in this case, it would be a manipulator. So I'll write a specific, it's a robotic manipulator. Okay, so you can see, right, I specifically mentioned real system and task, a gap between. So what that mean? So you can see that the task is one side and the real system is other side. So you need to actually like map these two, how to, you can say, fill this gap. So you know, like the task here, the assembly task, for example, I am the one who is actually like associating this. So I am saying that this particular robotic assembly should have 1 cubic meter space is given to you and 100 parts per day, and in a day probably 2 shifts. Each shift would be having 10 hours in a day. So then the 4 hours is the gap, and the part size would be this, and you can actually like put it in wall mounted or something. I am giving further, you can say, user input. Then what the engineer will do, the engineer will actually like reform this and come back with, you can see, one another aspect called specifications. So he will actually like refine that, what you call the user input, to a specification mode. So in that sense, what you can actually like see, the specification, which is detailed technical specification, would be obtained based on the user input. So now from there, what you can actually like come back, so you can find out based on your, you can say, mechanism knowledge, you can see that what, so configuration you can actually like bring it. So in the sense, you are actually like selecting. So selection of configuration would be done based on the technical specification. For example, I am giving a 1 cubic meter space, and that too like it is close to the wall. Probably I can put it, the manipulator, as wall mounted, so that I can utilize everything, you can say, more optimal way. Like that I can bring some kind of configuration. So if the configuration is available, so what one can think, this is available, then immediately probably on self, on industry, you can say, I just corrected. On industry, you can actually like on shelf, you can actually see which manipulator would fill for this particular specification. But now imagine you are a design engineer or robotic engineer, you have to make this. So then what would be coming from the manipulator side? So you have to actually like select, you can say, sensor. You have to select the sensor which need to be make it a closed loop. So you have to make it the actuator, how to choose, what range, what all those things. Then you have to bring the mechanical structure, right? So these are actually like associated with this side. Okay, so I am just saying, so still there is a gap. So where this is a configuration will be known, and you have still, you can see there is a gap. So this gap, what we can actually like fill it. For example, for understanding this, so I am just giving a one simple example. For example, you take a simple pendulum. Okay, so I am saying that this bob weight supposed to be 5 kg, and this length is supposed to be 1 meter, and this supposed to be associated, whatever I am saying, theta desired, it's supposed to stop. Okay, so these are the things I am giving it. Now I am asking you to actually like come with the prototype. So then you will actually like see as per the understanding in our mathematics what we usually say, this is massless rod. Can we actually like take massless means can we take a, you can say, grass straw and put it with the 5 kg bob? No. So even I am choosing a proper material, can I just glue it here or here? No. So in the sense we have to come back with some kind of detail, you can say, background to understand this physics behind. So that need to be required here in the sense what we are trying to see here. So here actually like what we are trying to see, the basics. So in the sense the physics behind we are trying to see, that is what we call system dynamics. So the system dynamics is the part which would be actually like covering this to this. Okay. So this is what we are actually like focused. This is what our interest in this particular course. So now in the sense what system dynamics all about, we are trying to do some mathematical analysis or mathematical you can say model, and then we are trying to understand and make it. For example, now you are trying to do a simple pendulum, you know like what would be the bob weight and what would be the length and what would be the required torque at the end, so that I can choose the motor accordingly, right? And I can see that this is what the constraint force acting line, so what would be the cross section, like that everything I can actually like find it. So that is the idea. That's why we are actually like doing more detail about mechanics aspect. So that mechanics we are going to cover here. So the first segment, or you can say first stage, will come from kinematic aspect. So we'll see what is actually like that. So you know like in physics we have two sub classification, one is statics and dynamics. Dynamics means with respect to time, the changes with respect to time. Even this dynamics we have further classification, kinematics and kinetics. Kinematics means study of motion without considering the forces and effect. With considering force and effect we call kinetics. But in robotics we call kinematics is study of motion, and dynamics is actually like study of motion with, you can say, considering the inputs. That's what we are going to see. We'll see detail about dynamics little later, but right now you see what is kinematics. So kinematics is nothing but study of motion without considering the forces or effect that affect the motion. We all agree. Why it is required? Because this is going to give you the governing equation. So the governing equation usually give you the relationship between control parameter and the behavior of the system. Okay, so these are okay. But what robot kinematics all about? Robot kinematics is nothing but kinematics, but little more than the normal physics kinematics. What that mean? So since the robotic system is consist of multiple body, so each body would be consist of several things. So in the sense one body to another body would be associated certain parameter you need to map. So in the sense you will be associated with several of coordinate system and several sub, you can say, spaces. So in the sense robot kinematics is nothing but mapping between one space to another space and study the motion between them. So this is what we are going to call robot kinematics. We'll see very detail in the further slide, but now you can get idea what is kinematics, right? So now we will actually like give little more. So the kinematics of robot manipulator, what really describe the relationship between the motion of the joints of the manipulator and the resulting motion of the rigid body which form the robot, which means, so the joint would be constrained, this joint which is actually like constraint between two body, how these two body is going to move if I actually actuate this joint. That is what we are going to understand here. But we are not seeing how much effect we are giving and what is causing this motion. These all we are not seeing. We are seeing that if I actuate this joint, how the motion between these two bodies is happening, or how the set of body motion is happening. That is what we are trying to see. So in that sense we are actually like going little more why we need to have this mathematical model. I already addressed in a lighter way in the example. Now we'll see a very detail. So one main thing is to understand the behavior of the system and design the mechanical system. This is one of the key factor. That's why lots of you can say engineering application, you can say people try to understand along with the mathematical model formulation. Okay. So further what happens, since it's a mechanical system and it is associated with the controller, so we can design the, you can say, suitable controller. If the system is actually like a moving system, then we can actually like try to design the navigational system and adjust their performance according to the, you can say, need. Further, what we can see that some of the parameter you cannot estimate accurately, or some of the cases you cannot even predict it. So then we can actually like make a mathematical model, get the real time, and we can do an empirical, you can say, aspect. So in the sense we can do a system identification or parameter estimation aspect. So now you can see that there are three key points we have actually like already put. So this particular course, the first half would be more focused on need of mathematical model, how we are approaching in terms of, you can say, robot mechanics or robotic system. So that is what we are going to see in further few classes, probably you can say next 15 to 20 lectures. So now we will move further. So I am actually like going to give little more detail. So we can see that we are focusing serial manipulator. You all agree this is serial manipulator. So now you can see one additional aspect. So what is our interest if we are talking about manipulator? So since it is actually like, you can say, engraving tool, or you can say probably you can say like polishing tool, whatever you call this tool point, how it is actually like moving on this particular, you can say, workspace. This is what our focus, right? So we are not going to bother about how this body arranged and all. So this is nothing but operational entity. So this is what actually like associated with several of parameter. That several of parameter associated with operational aspect, all I am bringing as one space. That is what I call operational space. Some people call this is associated with the task, or some people call task space. So this is what one side. But what would be the other side? So the other side would be having the mechanical arrangement, how the each body is arranged and how the joint is consigned, all those things. So in the sense, you see, although you are bothering about the robot tool point, but this robot tool point is depends on the joint arrangement and their movements, right? So each joint movement is actually like decide how to move it. So now this joint arrangement or the movement associated with certain parameters, right? Certain variables. These all we can put it in a small space. So this is what we call configuration space. So now you can see that the configuration space in this particular case would be like, you can see these 6 joints and the, you call how it is actually like arranged. So in the sense here the active joints all are actually like A1 to A6. So in the sense you can see that if I want to define this position is purely depend on the A1 rotation to A6 rotation. But what we are actually like looking in the 3-dimensional space, this particular point, how it is actually like located in the 3-dimensional space, in the sense you are locating this X, Y, Z and alpha, beta, gamma, right? So this 6 variable, what I am saying, that task space. So here you can see that the theta 1 to theta 6, so which are associated, this is what I am calling configuration space. So now you got a clarity, right? So now we need to map these two. That is what we are actually like going to do in the next slide. What that mean? So you know the configuration space, which are actually like set of, you can say, theta 1 to theta 6 are n. So what you have additional, the operational space where x, y, z to alpha, beta, gamma in 3-dimensional space. But these two are two different entity. So this is actually like associated with the operation. This is associated with the configuration. So again, somebody has to say how to map these two, right? So now we assume that the, you call configuration space is known. In the sense, I am taking a manipulator, I am taking each body and constraining, and I am actually like putting one by one with a certain desired way. So what I can see at the end, I am arranging in certain way. What I will see, what would be the tool point at the end, right? So in the sense, I know the configuration space variable and I am trying to see what is the operational space variable. So this is actually like, you can see, straightforward. So that's why it is called the forward kinematics. Okay. So that is what we are doing it. You can see that we know the configuration space variable and we are trying to see what is the operational space variable. That is what we call forward kinematics. Now imagine I want to put this pen in this particular way. Now how I can arrange my arm? So in the sense, I know operational space, I want to find what would be the configuration space. Okay. So I am trying to map this. This is actually like we are doing inverse way. So that's what it is called, inverse kinematics. Some people call this forward kinematics as a direct kinematics. This is actually like we call reverse kinematics. So all can be actually like synonym. Okay. So now you got a clarity what is forward kinematics, what is inverse kinematics. Although we are actually like focusing on study of motion, okay, but what we are doing is actually like we are further doing it little more. We are mapping between one space to another space. So this is what we call robot kinematics. So in that sense, the robot kinematics will have two subsections. So one is forward kinematics, where you know the joint, or you can say configuration space variable, and you are trying to understand what would be the end effector, or you can say task space or operational space variables. So for example, here I put it, the forward kinematics of a robot determines the configuration of the end effector for given relative configuration of each pair of you can say adjacent link, which means the configuration of the joint variable. That is what. So here this is known and you are trying to find this, right? So this is what we call forward kinematics. In the sense, what you are doing, you are taking several of parts, several of bodies, several of constraints, and you are assembling it. So that's why in parallel manipulator community we call this as assembly mode. So some cases, if it is a parallel manipulator, there are more than one possible assembly possible. So that's what it is. I have given assembly modes. Okay. But in serial manipulator, it would be unique. So that's why I put assembly mode. Okay. So now we'll go to the other side. So the inverse kinematics is for given desired configuration of the end effector. In the sense, I want to locate this pin like this. So how I can actually like arrange my arm in such a way that it would be rotated. Now you can see that there are several possibilities with my arm to arrange. So I can see that I can actually like put it like this, like this. So I am actually like a mobile manipulator. I can move around, still I can keep this point, right? So in the sense, what inverse kinematics says that for given desired configuration, what would be the you can say joint variable. So in the sense, you know the task variable and you are actually like seeing what would be the configuration variable which achieve that configuration. Okay. So this is what inverse kinematics. I don't want to actually like go very detailed. So we'll see in detail in the further coming classes. So but this is what we can actually like call, this is we call assembly mode. This is actually like you have this is work range, you can say endpoint, and your fixed point is known, and you are actually like making some workable way. So that's what it is called working mode. And usually the serial manipulator will have multiple solution. So that's what I put working modes. Okay. So now you got a clarity what is robot kinematics and what is actually like what is robotic manipulator, what is degrees of freedom, what is robot kinematics. All the background you have come up and you know what is degree of mobility, manipulability and degree of freedom. Okay. So with that I am actually like end here. So the next class we would be little more detail about physics. So we would be seeing like the basic description. So the description will start from you call position, orientation, and then we'll move little further. We will come up with one key aspect called transformation. Okay. So that's what we are actually like trying to do. So with that I'm actually like ending here. So we'll meet on Tuesday, in the sense tomorrow afternoon we'll meet. So if you have any questions, you can definitely share through email, or you can actually like put it in the Moodle we have access, right? So with that I'm actually like ending here. See you tomorrow, and thank you. Okay, bye bye, take care.